To Yahweh. Great praise to his son, Yahshua Christ, who is the righteous judge, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and at his kingdom. In him who we have redemption through his blood and forgiveness of sin by the great riches of his grace. In him we have life, and we have it more abundantly. He is our hope today, even our lively hope. And we have come to entertain that lively hope. Repeat after me. Lord, take us through, bring us out, take us up, and take us over. In Jesus' name we pray. Give the Lord a great big hand. You may be seated. We thank God for this service thus far. The scripture said, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Amen. Let's go quickly. We are before you too long. God has already gotten the glory. The testimonies were the sermon all by themselves. He has gotten the glory out of us today.
Yes, Lord.
Let's go really quickly to Acts, the 16th chapter, and the 27th verse. And then I want someone to get Ephesians, the 4th chapter, and the 8th verse. Let's start with Acts 16 and 27. Someone read that.
The jailer woke up. And when he saw the prison doors open,
yes,
he drew his sword,
yes,
and was about to kill himself,
yes,
because he thought the prisoners had escaped.
Yeah. All right, now Ephesians 4 and 8.
Wherefore he said, when he ascended up on high,
yes,
he led captivity captive.
He led captivity captive and gave gifts to men. Repeat after me. Held in captivity. You may be seated, Nurse Ursula. Thank you. When I was a small child, I thought being in daycare was like being held in captivity. When my Aunt Lily used to keep me and my sister in her house that smelled like mothballs, it felt like being held in captivity. When school lasted from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m., it felt like being held in captivity. When it rained or if it sleeted here in Dallas, Texas, we had to stay inside. We wanted to go out and play, but we were being held in captivity. And when I got older and started riding the city bus, I'd take the 38 Lisbon East, y'all don't know about it, to get home from Griffin Street downtown to Illinois and Oak Cliff. And the bus was always crowded. And I was always uncomfortable. And it felt like I was being held in captivity. When I started working, it seemed like the day would never end. Come on, full-time people. All right. It just seemed like lunch couldn't come fast enough. It just seemed like your 15-minute break couldn't arrive soon enough. Felt like you were being held in captivity. And then one day, I got sick and had to lay helplessly in a hospital bed for several weeks. And say it with me, it felt like being held in captivity. So most of my life, I have felt that I have been held in this captivity. And I have learned when you are in captivity, you are at the mercy of your captors.
That's true. That's true.
See, you can't leave the classroom until the teacher dismisses you. Can I get a witness? You can't leave work unless your boss says it's okay. You can't leave the hospital until the doctor issues you your discharge papers. You can't leave a restaurant until the server decides to give you your check. That's where I have a problem. You know I finished my food 10 minutes ago. I want my check at the table. Sorry, I just had to put that in there. You can't get your car back from the mechanic until he decides to hand you your keys. Captors have a lot of power because they have the ability to keep you in captivity. You are at their mercy. And that's the part that bothers me. That's the part that annoys and aggravates and irritates me. When I feel I am at the mercy of someone else's discretion, I become enraged. I'm not by myself in here. It don't sit right with me. For you see, man was not created to be bound or yoked. Man was not created to be shackled or chained. But on the contrary, man was created to be free and liberated. And when my freedom is being encroached upon, my attitude turns ugly. Do I have a witness in here?
All right.
My demeanor becomes sour. My blood begins to boil. And my anxiety starts revving up.
Come on.
So now let's look at this from a spiritual perspective. Just like those common and natural things in life that I mentioned, the enemy tries to keep us in captivity. He wants to wreak havoc over our lives. Catch this, sickness and disease are types of captivity. Drug addiction, alcohol addiction, sex addiction are all types of captivity. Constant, never-ending financial problems are a type of captivity. I wish I would preach with me. Spiritual deficiencies and mental deficiencies are types of captivity. And the one thing they all have in common is that the captor is always that old devil.
Come on now.
He locks us up and chains us up into these struggles so that we can't be free. So that we can't live free. But I am serving the devil notice today that my captivity is only for an appointed time. For the report says, for ye have need of patience, that after ye have done the will of God, ye might receive the promise. Now catch this, it said, for yet a little while, and he that shall come will come, and he will not tarry. And it said, now the just shall live by faith. But if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him. It said, but we are not of them who draw back unto perdition, but them that believe to the saving of our soul. What am I saying? Sooner or later, the school bell is going to ring. Sooner or later, the discharge papers are going to be signed. Sooner or later, the keys to your car that's been in the shop is going to be handed to you. Sooner or later, sickness and disease got to be healed. Sooner or later, the new job will come along. Sooner or later, the financial problems will be solved. Sooner or later, the chains will be loose.
Come on now.
It won't always last forever. Captivity has an appointed time. Say that captivity has an appointed time. And when it's over, it's over. Whether it be natural or spiritual. The record says, beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trials, which is to try you as though some strange thing happened to you. But what did the scripture say? It said, but rejoice inasmuch as ye are partakers of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. And then on down it said, wherefore let them that suffer. Here it say, everybody say that word suffer. We don't like that. Wherefore let them that suffer according to the will of God commit the keeping of their souls to him in well doing. Why? Because he is a faithful creator.
Yes, he is.
Now,
he's gonna take care of
in closing, the grandson of Herod the Great began to persecute the children of Yahweh and had already killed James, the brother of John. But he decided to put Peter in prison. In his cell, the apostle was chained by the wrist to two other soldiers, with two more sitting on the outside. This all took place the night before Peter was to be brought before Herod. And all of a sudden, while being held in captivity, the Bible says a light shone in prison.
Come on.
And an angel touched him. And Peter's chains fell from his hands.
All right.
The angel bade him to get up and get dressed.
Come on.
And the angel said, and I want you to follow me. And Peter followed the angel to the prison gates, which opened by themselves. And when the angel left him in the street, Peter knocked on the door of the nearest house. And the house just so happened to belong to Mary, the mother of John. And what Peter didn't know is that there was a prayer meeting going on. It was a meeting going on in the house on his behalf. They were praying for the Lord to get Peter out of captivity. For you see, while they were yet praying, the answer of their prayer was knocking at the door. For the record had said, and it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer. And while they're yet speaking, I will hear their voice. Your captivity is just an illusion, because he who the Son sets free is free indeed. He has already made you free. He's already delivered you. So do not continue to be held in captivity. The Bible said, wherefore he saith, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts to men. What that means is Christ has set the captive free. Are you glad about it? He unlocked the grave.